Hello, good evening and welcome to SKTV. You're watching the Manipur Files. I'm Utpala Longjam, your host. The Union Budget for 2025-2026 presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on February 1st, 2025 focuses on rural development including infrastructure and broadband connectivity which could benefit regions like Manipur. However, there is a limited attention given to the state's specific needs such as rehabilitation for those affected by ethnic violence. Despite national initiatives to support MSMEs, small businesses in Manipur still lack dedicated financial aid. While infrastructure projects are prioritized, the absence of funds for displaced communities reflects ongoing concerns over the region's humanitarian crisis. Overall, Manipur's long-term recovery remains sidelined in this project. The budget. The union government's budget often faces scrutiny for its allocation of resources, particularly in addressing the needs of marginalized and violence-affected communities. If the latest budget lacks specific provisions for such individuals, it raises concerns about rehabilitation, compensation, and long-term support for victims of communal, ethnic, and/or insurgency, especially in this long ongoing conflict, which will complete exactly 21 months tomorrow. Since pre-2010, the union budget for Manipur prioritized national defense and security with minimal focus on economic or social development. Special packages were issued but lacked provisions for infrastructure and rehabilitation. Between 2010 and 2019, emphasis remained on security and counterinsurgency, while infrastructure projects were considered, but no dedicated funds for conflict victims or peacebuilding were provided. From 2020 to 2025, the focus shifted to infrastructure under the Act East policy, with no specific funds for displaced communities or rebuilding efforts. The 2024-2025 budget continued with this trend, prioritizing infrastructure projects but failing to allocate for rehabilitation or humanitarian support for ethnic violence victims. Today's topic for discussion is Union Budget, BOON or BANE for Manipur. To delve into this significant topic, we are joined by a distinguished panel of experts who will share the insights and experience. I'd like to welcome our panelists for tonight. We have Mr. N. Satyajeet, Bureau Head, Uni. Welcome to the Manipur Files, Mr. N. Satyajeet. Next, we have Mr. O. NABAKISHORE, former Chief Secretary. Welcome to the Manipur Files, Mr. O. NABAKISHORE. And last but not the least, we have Professor CHINGLEN MAISNAM, Professor Economics, Manipur University. Welcome to the Manipur Files, Professor. Let's start right away. My first question will be for Professor CHINGLEN MAISNAM. Since the ethnic violence erupted in Manipur in May 2023, the state's financial condition has deteriorated significantly. The conflict has led to deaths, displacement of people, severely impacting local business, employment, and economic stability. Manipur has one of the highest poverty rates in India, with 36.89% of its population living below the poverty line. The unemployment rate exceeds 9%, reflecting the border economic struggles. The crisis has also led to massive destruction of property and infrastructure, further hampering economic recovery. Despite the need for urgent financial relief and rehabilitation, the union budget has largely focused on infrastructure development rather than direct aid to affected communities. What were the expectations for Manipur in the union budget and how did the actual allocations compare?
Utpala, it is not a budget Manipur should be happy about. And you know, Manipur is now facing what a worse humanitarian crisis.
Yes.
Anyway, before coming to the Manipur issue, I want to just focus on some of the contextual contents of this budget. Why am I calling contextual contents? Because to me, this budget is not an expansionary budget. Expansionary budget, it is a contractionary budget. It squeezes the expenditure, overall expenditure, and if the inflation is taken into account, mainly the food inflation is taken into account, then you will see there is allocation of almost all the the departments. You will see a declining trend in real term. I say in real term. So, for example, this budget is now going to reduce the fiscal deficit.
Yes, exactly.
From say 5.6% last year budget estimate to 4.4%.
Yes.
So, what is the meaning, underlying meaning of this cut? If you
Correct.
want to enlarge the government expenditure, you need to expand the fiscal deficit.
Yes.
Either by increasing the fiscal deficit or by increasing the taxes on super rich.
Correct.
Okay, but it will be a very difficult task for any government, because to make a balance, because you want to cut the fiscal deficit. At the same time, you also want to increase the expenditure. So it is a very difficult task. Okay, so my first reaction would be this budget is a contractionary, highly contractionary one, and if you look at the budget, you will see that the budget, this budget, there is a commitment. No, once again, this budget is committed to fiscal consolidation. Fiscal consolidation is nothing, but is a kind of a expenditure compression. So you will see. So let me just put out some of the points.
Okay.
If you look a closer look at the figures, you'll find it. The central government expenditure has declined. Overall expenditure has declined from 14.55%. 14.5, you can say 14.5% to 14.18%, or you can say 14.2%. So I mean the overall budget.
Overall, right.
There is a say squeezing of the budget. And if you look at the revised estimate for the say central sponsor schemes. Central is very important for state like Manipur. No? This is very important. So if you look at the budgetary allocation for centrally sponsored scheme, you will find that there is also a decline of 18%.
Okay.
As compared to the budget estimate. If you look at the revised estimate. And again, budget estimate for the say centrally sponsored scheme is only at 10%. 10% of the total budgetary expenditure. So it is a very meager allocation. Okay, and if you look at the gender budget, you will see that there is a slight increase in the gender budget. It is now 8.8%, a slight increase. But if you look at the GDP of the country, it is only just 1.6%, less than 2%. Okay, and within this budget, you see it has two parts, part A and the part B. Okay, but part A, if you look at the part A of gender budget, you will see that part A is very important because there is 100% women-oriented schemes. Okay. Okay.
Right.
But it is only 2% of the budget estimate. Part A is only 2% of the budget estimate.
Okay.
And as far as Ministry of Women and Child Development is concerned, it is 0.53% of the expenditure, of the total expenditure. And as far as the violence against women under Mission Sambal and Samarthya, the allocation have also declined by 50%.
Okay.
And another one is there is also a further cutback. Cutback on food subsidy. Food subsidy, you know, food subsidy very, very. I mean the important
yes.
For the. I mean the. Say, we are so much talking about food security, NAPSA, this and that, na? But there is a cutback on food subsidy. So there is allocation is only rupees 8394 crores less as compared to the actuals of the last year. We need to compare the actuals. Because the allocation was say for example in the say actual allocation was rupees 100. Say we spent rupees 100 last year. Now it is only rupees 90 then there is a cut.
There is a cut, yes.
There is a cut. So it is also reflected in the food subsidy. And as far as PMGKAY allocation, it has also been declined. Allocation have declined by 2,250 as compared to budget estimate. And as far as what I should say, there is effective decline in is much stiffer if the inflation, food inflation, say of say 7 to 8% is taken into account. Okay, and another one is Section Anganwadi. These are also very popular in Manipur, and Posan 2.0 and LPG subsidy. Okay, so when I look to the figures of these schemes, I found that actual spending is very meager. Actual spending is very meager. And another one, very important for Manipur. So if you come, when we talk about agrarian crisis, yes, or the particularly for Manipur, Manipur is also facing one of the acute agrarian crisis. So here NREGS is a very popular scheme here. It's the largest employment generating scheme in the state too. But as far as NREGS allocation is concerned, it remains the same. That is around 86,000 crores.
Okay.
But if you look at the budgetary allocation on NREGS during the COVID time, it was around 1,11,000 crores.
Okay.
So it's not a good news for the the rural people, because as far as Manipur is concerned, there is a collapse of incomes, rural incomes, because of the COVID and also because of the violence. Okay, and as far as the MSME is concerned, yes, there is some announcement, incentive for the MSMEs. But if you look at the MSME working, you will see that the 48% of the MSMEs in the last few years, they've shut down.
They've shut down, exactly.
Yeah, and this is also very important.
Right.
And so there are a number of schemes which has budgetary cut. So I would like to term this budget as a contractionary budget.
Okay.
It once again committed to fiscal consolidation, and it will not help in boosting the domestic demand, because everyone is now talking about increasing domestic demand.
Yes.
Even the corporate, big corporate houses, they are also talking about stimulating demand, because in India now we are now facing inadequate demand.
Okay.
So they are being focused on consumption, domestic consumption.
Right.
That's why they are giving relief, tax relief to the middle class.
Right.
But one thing we should know, that the share of this population, the income taxpayer, the salaried people,
right,
is very small.
Yes.
And we are still expecting a huge demand from this group of people.
Exactly.
But the actual demand should come from the masses. Masses. Okay. So we need to increase budgetary allocation for social welfare, employment generation, so that we can increase the aggregate demand in the economy.
Okay.
So this is my point.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Chinglen. I'll come back to you. Next, I'll come to Mr. N. Satyajit. Professor Chinglen has already spoken about the budget seeming to be a contractionary budget with lots of cuts. Now, on that line, critics argue that budget reflects a partisan approach and an apathetic attitude toward Manipur, while the state BJP maintains that overall national development programs will benefit all regions, including Manipur. What's your take on that?
Utpala, first of all, just before coming to this issue, I would like to congratulate the Manipur team. It has done a very good job in the national games. Okay, yes, absolutely. And after that, I will come to the Manipur issue, because this is regarding sports. We have a national sports university in Manipur. It was initiated when the present Prime Minister came into power in 2014, it came with a lot of fanfare. People lauded him. People were very happy that at least now we have got a national sports university. But the problem is the way we are doing in sports, we are getting lots of gold. We broke a new record. But the problem is the funding of National Sports University has been slashed drastically in this issue. We have the offices in the Komandla Park Stadium. And when I check out the expenses, it was 190 crore last year.
Okay.
Now it has been slashed, it has been reduced to 63 crores, 63.72 crores.
Okay.
So I think it is a misfortune for the people of Manipur and for the entire sports fraternity that something bad has been done for them. We were expecting something good. But the other good aspect which the center says is that about 1,000 crore more has been given for Khelo India scheme.
Okay.
This is to help nurturing new sports persons. But the problem is Khelo India scheme, most of the beneficiaries, Manipur don't get much. For the Northeast, Arunachal Pradesh gets a lot of money, but Manipur doesn't get much under Khelo India scheme or most of the schemes. But what I want to say is, if you want to spend money, you should spend it on a good student. Manipur is a very good student. Absolutely. When it comes to student. And if you waste money on students who are not ready to read, it is useless. And Khelo India scheme, most of the money it is spent in Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, and Arunachal Pradesh, and some other states. And it is a welcome state that they are getting it, but we want more funding in our state because we are producing more sports person. So that is one aspect. And the other aspect about Manipur is we have seen that most of the developed countries, they spend huge amounts of money on education. And Manipur lacks education now because most of the students, they are not able to access, they were not able to access internet, then they were not able to access the educational institutes because they have been occupied by security personnel.
Yes.
And most of the government schools, they are in tantrum. They are almost in the position of closing down. And most of the colleges in Manipur, even just imagine the colleges, they don't, some colleges, they don't have teachers, proper staff also. And you'll be surprised that in some institutes in Manipur, if for 4-year courses, they don't have teachers for the 4th term. So imagine the condition of the students, and just look at the students at the DM University. And funding, when it comes to India, it is just about, it is less than 3%. That is a trauma. Because if you look at developed countries like Marshall Islands, even Cuba also, Cuba is very popular because it spends 11.5% of its GDP on education. But the problem in India is this budget is it is spending less and less, as Tamo has pointed out. It is spending less and less. And the other aspect is health. The expenses is less than 2% of the GDP. Of the entire budget is 2%. And you'll be surprised that in the United States, the per capita expenditure on citizen is $12,555 US. Whereas in India, we are spending very, very less. And even if you look at the health expenses, you'll be surprised that most of the expenses are met by the people. Even though the government of Manipur and the government of India has given certain initiative up to 5 lakhs, but it doesn't cover everybody. And you'll be also surprised that it covers lots of rich people also. And I don't know how the data is collected. And that is another issue. The other issue is communication. In communication, the government of India, we were expecting something good because we have lost communication, we have very bad national highway, and we were expecting some additional funding for Manipur. That has also not come. And the other is flood and relief. For that, for the Northeast, Sikkim has got it, other states has got it. For Manipur, no amount was reflected in this budget. Because during this crisis also, we experienced 2 times flood. Yes. And we need lots of money to look after the rivers. Yes. You will understand that our Nambul River, Iril River, they are even not flood. We cannot even give the term rivers to them. And today we observe also World Wetlands Day. Chief Minister spoke at Lisang Hiden about those are very good initiatives, but we want a big budget. Because if you look at the problems of Loktak, if you look at the rivers of the Manipur rivers, especially Thobal, Imphal River, Iril River, if they are not properly flowing, then we will be facing very water crisis. So we also wanted some money in this aspect also regarding Manipur.
Yes.
They will cover. But then during when this when Sitaraman, when the Union Finance Minister spoke about the budget, she focused on 4 issues: poor, woman, youth, and farmer. But the problem is they are very good at coining words. She gave lots of references of South Indian languages, Sanskrit also. But the problem, it is not reflected in the budget. For example, if you say about youth, just imagine in Manipur, all the youths are, their future is not secure in Manipur. They don't know where they will go to schools and colleges. They don't know what will happen tomorrow. Even the farmers also. In Manipur, farmers, they were attacked by some militants who were fired upon. All these issues are not covered. And if you look at another issue about flood also, for Assam and Sikkim, as I stated earlier, they will be getting lots of benefits, even Assam also. And the problem with this budget is, they say this is not a budget of India. They say this is a budget looking into perspective, the elections will be coming this year. Delhi election is coming. If you just a few days ago, then we have the Bihar election, and prior to the Maharashtra election, the government of India last year budget was concentrated to Maharashtra, and government of India took lots of money from abroad. I mean, it was loan. The government, and this year the government of this budget will be giving lots of money to Bihar. They have decided to form a Makhana board. New airports will come up, new infrastructure will come up. Bihar will be benefiting because Bihar will be next year. And I wonder if we had an election, Manipur had an election this year, then we could have got nothing more. So what I want to say is the government is focusing more on those states which will go to poll. And what the people want is it should be people friendly, and it should not be considered. It should not consider election also, because government, it is not for the state. It is for the entire country. But the one good news for is about the middle classes is because the people say that this government is against the middle classes. But one good thing is it has increased the tax slab. It will be now 12 lakhs. It was earlier, it was 7 lakhs. Now those who are getting below 17 lakhs, it won't affect anybody. But so it is a good thing for that also. There are lots of good things in this budget also. But the problem is, this budget, if you look at the budget, most of the expenses is in running the administration, and we don't have much money in generating fund. For example, we speak about going for 5 trillion. We are not achieving that. Now the government of India said we may achieve it in the next 5 years. We will not even reach 3 trillion. And the problem is, if you look at the budget of China, it has reached a new dimension because it spends lots of money on research and development. And for example, and China plans for a very, very long years. And now it is planning for 2049. 1949, India achieved independence in 1947, now for 2047. China in 1949, so China's budget is till 2049. So by 2049, what they are planning is, for example, as they spend lots of money in research and development, now they are able to produce very good students. But the problem in India is we have lots of IITs. This year, the funding on this, they have slashed also. IITs, even if we have a National Institute of NIT in Manipur also, we were expecting more courses to be open in Manipur, but it is not coming. So I think the government of India should spend more on youth, on establishing new institutes, rather than focusing on a populist policy to gain electoral politics. For example, in now people say that it spent huge amount of money in festivals. Unfortunately, 30% died in Uttar Pradesh during the Mahakumbh festival. So Utpala, in the first round, I would say that this budget is not good for Manipur. Nothing is mentioned about Manipur. And what we wanted has not been given. So I hope the government does something when the proper budget is presented, because it can be amended also. It can be changed also. So I think the government of Manipur should pursue the government of India to develop more research institute, because if you imagine in Agartala, the 200 crores was sanctioned. This is not related to budget a few months back for development of a dental institute. And we have lots of fund in the PMD BANE. because in this budget you will find that 10% is earmarked for Northeast, and for that about 60,000 crores it is still lying in the non-lapsable pool. That money can be spent, and that is not spent. When we don't know why it is not spent, I think out of that 60,000, if it can spend few 200 to 300 crores to establish new institutes of Manipur, something good could have been taken. That I would say in the first.
Right, thank you so much, and very good point from Mr. N. Satyajeet. Continuing to Mr. O. NABAKISHORE, Mr. N. Satyajeet did mention that about Bihar and the flood relief. Apparently seeming that the budget is election oriented budget. So let's talk about the relief fund allocation. In the union budget of 2024-25, the central government allocated flood relief funds to several states including Bihar, about 11,500 crore rupees for flood control projects in Bihar, Assam for flood management initiatives, and for Himachal Pradesh for reconstruction after extensive flood damage, in Uttarakhand and Sikkim for recovery from cloudbursts and landslides. Additionally, 5,858.60 crore rupees was allocated for flood relief across 14 states. However, there was no specific flood relief funds, as mentioned, even Mr. Satyajeet mentioned, there was no flood relief allocated to Manipur. Do you see a pattern of northeastern states, particularly Manipur, being overlooked in disaster relief allocations?
Utpala, Manipur is a very tiny state, and perhaps it's quite difficult for it to draw the attention of the central government, that everybody knows. So anyway, budget normally does not make allocation state-wise. I mean, the budget makes allocation ministry-wise or program-wise. Of course, in some certain cases, as you may have mentioned, there may be some allocation for specific program or specific schemes. Well, I mean, the question is that what is there for Manipur in the union budget of 2025-26?
Yes.
And there is hardly any specific allocation for the state of Manipur. That is true. But nevertheless, there are lots of things allocated in the union budget from which the state of Manipur can avail lots of development assistance. Say for instance, the allocation for the Ministry of Development of the Northeastern region has been increased by as much as 47.6% to about 5,915 crore during this financial year 2025-26. This is a quantum jump. The state government of Manipur gets a fair chunk of the fund from this Ministry of Donor for creation of the infrastructure facilities.
Yes.
So to that extent, Manipur government should try to get the maximum fund from the Ministry of Donor, either for the school infrastructure or a hospital or a road construction or power sector, whatever sector which our state government identifies. That is a positive area. Something which again can be useful to Manipur is that the union government has in the budget space announced to set up a urea plant, urea plant at Namrup, having a capacity of as much as 12.7 lakh metric tons per annum at Namrup, which is in Drivugarh area. And our farmers have been facing problems of the shortage of the urea during the the cropping seasons, during the main monsoon season. So I'm sure this urea plant with 12.7 lakh metric ton should be able to ease the difficulties of the farmers of Manipur. That is perhaps the second point where the Manipur government, the Manipur people of Manipur can certainly get benefits. And of course, the third area where the Manipur can get some benefits is the UDAN scheme. UDAN scheme, actually, when I was also in the government, it was introduced. UDAN is connecting unconnected places by using helicopters or by using the aircrafts. Say places like Jiribam, More, and Tamenglong were not connected by the air. So after the UDAN scheme has been introduced, there is connectivity where a lot of subsidy is given by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Now they plan to connect as many as 100 new district headquarters, including the northeastern region. Say for instance, Imphal can be connected, Churachandpur can be connected, Farjol or Tengnopal, many places, Senapati can be connected by using choppers. And this allocation of fund includes fund for construction of helipads also. So this can certainly boost the connectivity. Say for instance, this scheme has already benefited lots of people living in Tamenglong and More as well as Jiribam, as far as I know. Say if you want connectivity between Churachandpur and Imphal, now I think by introducing this Udan scheme between Churachandpur and Imphal, people can come to Imphal airport by air and they can take the flight from Imphal to other places, which is not possible by road. These are some possibilities, And apart from that, income tax reduction, this changing the tax slabs. I'll just dwell on it for about 1 minute. This is an expectation from the so-called middle class. Of course, there is no definition of middle class, So most of the salaried employees of either of the government or private sector are considered to be belonging to the middle class. They are again considered to be the drivers of the economic growth.
Yes, right.
Why? Because they are the consumers, they buy lots of goods and services, And one of the main factors for slower growth of Indian economy, See in the third quarter, in the second quarter, we had a GDP growth of only 5.4%, against our target of some 7.2 or 3%, So this decline in the economic growth or decline in the GDP growth is attributed to the lower demand. So how to boost the demand? So the central government thinks that by raising the tax slab from 7 lakhs to 12 lakhs, So about 1 lakh crore will be available in the hands of this middle class, So 1 lakh crore money can be either saved, invested or spent on goods or services. So that will lead to the increase in consumption, from the private households should certainly help the growth of the economy. And this is one area where they have focused. Of course, it will certainly make lots of salaried people like me. I'm a pensioner. I will also get benefit. Another benefit which the central government has announced is that apart from 12 lakhs annual income, they have also increased the standard deduction from 50,000 to 75,000.
Right.
This is again some kind of incentive or boost. So I can I don't have to pay income tax up to my income of 12 lakhs 75,000. So it will make lots of the middle class, salaried class people or taxpayers happy. This is one good point which is admired by one and all. And the third point is that with this expected good demand, the so-called investment from the private sector, which is not forthcoming now for the last few years, is expected to pick up. This actually for economic growth, there is another. There are two aspects. One is investment by the government in roads or infrastructure or in capital expenditure, or investment by the private sector. The question which is being asked is that why is the private sector or why are the business people are not investing in creating new capacities or new factories or industries?
Yes.
Their reply is that there is no demand. We are not able to utilize our existing capacity since there is no demand. So they want to create a cycle of demand and a cycle of investment from the private sector, so that the economy grows. So that the objective of Viksit Bharat by 2047 is achieved. And by way, just to mention, one point which may be important is that, of course, our professor says that this budget is contractionary. I mean, on the other hand, this capital expenditure by the government is constitute a major chunk of our GDP. So, as against 10.18 lakh crore during the current year, so in the budget they propose to spend 11.2 lakh crore, an increase of 10.1% on capital expenditure. So, this also will certainly help in boosting the economy. Say this capital expenditure will be mainly in road construction, construction of bridges, airports or seaports, or many other asset creations. So, these things should also help in boosting the economy. But of course, as you mentioned, or as mentioned by the finance minister, our the present time is a difficult time for not only for India, it's a difficult time for the whole world, yes. Where most of the economies are not having a good economic growth. Right. And lots of pressure is expected to come from the Trump administration in USA in terms of imposing tariffs, unless India or China or other countries do not lower our customs duty. That's why maybe in response to the pressure coming from or anticipated from Trump, there has been some lowering of custom duties on certain items. That is also good. Lastly, my point is about, one good aspect is about the increasing the FDI, foreign direct investment limit on insurance sector. So, foreign direct investment is, there are two kind of foreign investment. One is foreign institutional investment, another is foreign direct investment. When I was in government of India, I used to attend a few meetings of FDI, Foreign direct investment is something where the investment from the foreign countries, money will come from foreign countries. It will remain in India, it cannot be taken out easily. And that money, suppose some big insurance company from America brings suppose 1 lakh crore of rupees or 1 lakh US dollars to India. So that to that extent, that money will be available. They will also collect lots of premiums, and that the condition is that the money cannot be taken out of India. So, to that extent, the money supply will increase and the economic activities will increase, and that is supposed to lead to economic growth. The main objective of this kind of a budget exercise is to boost the economic growth.
Thank you so much, Mr. NABAKISHORE. I'll come back to Professor CHINGLEN. Well, we're talking about a cycle of demand and investment, as Mr. NABAKISHORE said, which would lead to an increase in the economy. But let's talk about, let's come back to Manipur, the situation in Manipur. We've seen that because of the conflict, there's been a decrease in the purchasing power of the people. The May 2023 ethnic conflict in Manipur has severely weakened the state's economy, we all know that, which was already struggling due to the impact of COVID-19. Now, the ongoing conflict or violence in Manipur has severely disrupted its economy, affecting trade, agriculture, and businesses. This has led to job losses, inflation, and worsened food insecurity due to halted agricultural activities and blocked transportation routes. The internet shutdown, which we had a couple of times, exacerbated the situation by hindering financial transactions and business operations. As a result, purchasing power, as I mentioned earlier, purchasing power has plummeted and essential goods have become scarce, pushing prices higher. Tourism, which was once a growing sector, has collapsed and many small businesses have shut down. Despite these challenges, the union budget has not allocated any specific funds for rehabilitating displaced communities, leaving Manipur in urgent need of economic intervention to avoid a prolonged crisis. What measures can be taken to support the state's economic recovery and address the immediate needs of displaced families?
Utpala, Manipur hope for a special economic package from this union budget. You know, during the pre-budget discussion, many state governments, many from the southern states, no, they have submitted a number of memorandum, number of demands. Say, for example, Kerala government, they have actually when they meet the Union Finance Minister, their demand is around rupees 24,000 crores in the budget. In the budget.
Right.
And Bihar also, they also demanded. And Tamil Nadu, Telangana, and even Punjab. But for Manipur, I think, I don't know whether they have attended the meeting or not.
Okay.
Whether they are invited. They were invited in the consultation meeting or not.
Okay.
I don't know. But when we look at the budget, we come to know that when we compare Manipur and Bihar, this budget can be termed as a boon for Bihar, but BANE for Manipur. Okay. So it is not a, I mean, it is not a Manipur friendly budget. I should say it is not a Manipur friendly budget, and again I should say that it is not a Northeast friendly budget. It is not Northeast friendly budget. Again, if you look at the total, I mean the budgetary allocation for the entire Northeastern region, there is a cut of rupees 13,000 crores. If you look at the budget figures, and the we cannot expect that whatever promised in the budget will be spent. There is a huge variance between the budgeted allocation and the actual. There is huge variations. So it is also true in the Manipur budget.
Okay.
Huge variations. So can we, I mean, trust the figures? This is also a problem. This is also a problem. And as far as the growth is concerned, I just like to mention one thing, that everyone is worrying about growth. Everyone means mainly the established economists, the Indian establishments. Their main concern is growth. Growth. Right. 6.3%, 6.5% is not it is not bad. It is not bad. And if you say 7% is good, then I will tell you one thing. India is now facing a paradoxical scenario. We are one of the fastest growing economies in the world, yes. But at the same time, when you look at the ICDI figure, ICDI ranking, Human Development Ranking, India's ranking, you know, 134th. So it means that high income growth or income growth cannot be converted into human development. That is a very big problem. Big question. It is mainly because of the gross negligence of the say education, gross negligence of the say health sector, gross negligence of the income generating schemes of the people. Yes, it is true that they are focusing on capex, capital expenditure. But if you compare capital expenditure with the social expenditure, you will come to know that the positive multiplier, as far as the multiplier effect is concerned, you will see a larger multiplier effect in case of the social welfare. But as far as capex is concerned, yes, definitely you will give a good impact in the economy, but not in the immediate.
Immediate.
Yeah, immediate. Say for example, so say you look at the social pension, social security pension in Manipur. It is only rupees 200, and for widows only rupees 500.
Right.
Can you? This is one of the lowest in the country.
Right.
Manipur's figure is one of the lowest in the country. So we need a larger expenditure by the government, and you cannot, rely on foreign investment.
Exactly.
You are talking about self-reliance, self-reliance. Nabar, this and that. But you are going to rely on foreign investment. Say, for example, foreign direct investment. 100%, say to insurance. opened to insurance sector. But one thing, FDI will not come. FDI will not come. If you want to invite FDI, we need some preconditions. You need to increase your saving rate, you need to increase your investment rate. Until and unless you increase investment rate around say 40% or say saving rate around 40%, you cannot, the aspect lesser inflow of foreign direct investment. Yes, there is two type of investment. One is foreign direct investment. It is more desirable than the short-term investment. Short-term investment like say you can call it speculative capital or hot capital or say floating capital. Say like say NABAKISHORE has rightly pointed out that the institutional investment or investment made in the say stock market, they can come anytime, any moment, and they can also exit anytime, any moment. It is more vulnerable. So when we compare foreign direct investment with these short-term capital, FDI is more desirable. So, but one thing is we should keep in mind that inviting foreign direct investment means, particularly in the insurance sector, means insurance sector will be fully privatized. It will be in the hands of the big corporate. And as far as the say demand expecting from the middle class, so middle class, they are consuming the goods produced by mainly by the companies, big companies, big companies. So if you increase the say real wages of the working people, then if the demand comes from them, and the demand comes from the agricultural led growth, then it will be it will help in achieving the inclusive growth. Otherwise, the growth will be exclusionary. So I have already pointed out that India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. But that growth is not inclusive. It is exclusionary. The growth is exclusionary. So if you want to make growth more inclusive, then the growth should come from the grassroots. That will be a good message. Another positive point aspect of this budget, particularly for Northeastern region and Manipur. I'll give you one example. At least there is a slight increase in the budgetary allocation for Regional Institute of Medical Sciences. The Regional Institute of Medical Sciences now got rupees 650 crores. 650 crores, 650 crores. It is the highest in the history of RIMS budget. It is as good news for Manipur. That I want to convey.
That's really excellent news to hear that. And as Professor CHINGLEN says, we should make growth inclusive. So coming to the next question for Mr. N. SATYAJEET. We are speaking about the good things about the union budget. Like, let's say, for example, the union budget for Manipur has been a mix of positive infrastructure investments and but there are significant gaps in humanitarian support. Let's look at one such aspect. The government's focus on building modern infrastructure such as rail and air connections. This can stimulate tourism and commerce, potentially attracting more investment into the region. This can also have long-term positive effects on the state's overall economic growth and employment, as we've been discussing so far. Long-term development has the potential to not only relieve victims of conflict, but also lay the foundation for lasting peace and prosperity. Manipur, with the right development strategies, can recover from the aftermath of violence and move toward a more stable and prosperous future. Is the emphasis on infrastructure projects in Manipur in the union budget a strategic move for a long-term development, or is it a temporary fix for the state's challenges?
Utpala, Manipur needs not one budget but a special package. As Tomo pointed out, we need a special package. We need a pumping of huge amounts of money because we need certain, in this budget itself, there is a special focus on self-generating, self-employment. That is, the funding has been increased. We can use that money also. And the other problem is the number is very less, 100, 200. for entrepreneurs, the fund allocation. What the government of Manipur should pursue should be in terms of in thousands, in lakhs. Certain schemes which can affect about 1 to 2 lakh youths of Manipur. That will be very helpful, because when youths, they are in disarray, when they don't know what their future is, then the society will be in a chaos.
Yes.
So it is our responsibility to help them, then to nurture them, and to give them the financial, not only the financial support, but the academic, then the accounting also, how they should use money also, because in Manipur people think loan as grant.
That's right.
Loans and grant, so there should be given proper education also.
Right.
But the other problem is in Manipur we have about 60,000 displaced person also. Rehabilitation and then providing security provision, that is something which is beyond the prospect of this budget, because those are security aspect. And if you look at the other issue which about FDI, Tamo also discussed about FDI. The government of India has started ease of business, because if the companies want to come here, if they have to go through the entire length and stretch of the North Block, South Block to get the certificates, then they will not come.
Yes.
So, for example, in some countries, if a business company comes, for example, they come to Manipur, then the government of that particular government will ensure that they need not go to the capital.
Okay.
The national capital. Everything will be done in that state itself. That happens in China.
Okay.
So that is ease of business. And they also limit the number of certificates. They help in getting all the clearance, especially environment clearance. Those are certain issues. If there is ease of business is there, then more companies should be coming. But the other problem is, when companies come, they come with a motive to earn money also.
Right.
So if they come to Manipur and if they are not getting any profit, then they will not come. So we should, if we have an environment where they should be profitable not only to them, to us also. But the other issue, the core issue, which the government of India should resolve is, if you look at the entire budget, and if you look at the population of India, 1.4 billion, and I was just assessing the income tax data, we found that about 80 crore people of India, the total is 1.4 billion, but 80 crore people, they get less than 8,000 per month. That is the data. That means they are not concerned about this budget. They are not concerned about this 7 lakhs, then 12 lakhs. They are not concerned.
Exactly.
Then the other is 25 crores. Their budget, their income is 8,000 to 12,000 crores. And if you look at the people who are really affected, if you get 23 people, only 23 people, they have incomes of more than 500 crore in India. So, so lots of money is concentrated in the heads of few people. And those people who are giving taxes between 100 to 500 crores, it is just 262 people. Out of 1.4 billion people, about 200 to about 300 people, they are having income of 100 to 500 plus. So it shows that the India is going through a phase where most of the people are below poverty. They don't have proper income. So I think we should pay more focus on them also. And I think I should give more time to Tamo also, because I will just end by saying that the government of Manipur should move to Delhi, should go to Delhi, and should work to have more under Uran scheme, as Tamo pointed out, get more air connectivity and more fund for the youths and displaced person and women also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Satyajeet. Moving on, but continuing on the previous question, Mr. NABAKISHORE, critics argue that Manipur continues to be neglected in terms of targeted financial aid compared to other states. This failure to address the root causes of conflict or provide funds to rebuild communities highlights the disparity in the allocation of resources within the union budget. How do you think the state government should address the lack of financial support for displaced communities in Manipur? Can you quickly tell us in
we don't have much
4
time.
Minutes, right.
Actually, as mentioned by our friend Professor CHINGLEN MAISNAM, it is the duty of the state government to come up with proposal to the central government. And we have to highlight what are the areas where we need the assistance of the central government. Say, for instance, after this eruption of the violence on the 3rd May, our economy has been uprooted.
Yes.
It is upside down. And not only that, the livelihood of the lots of people, not only the displaced people, even the undisplaced people, their livelihood, their employment, everything has been uprooted.
Yes.
Because there is no demand. Demand in Manipur. The people who were engaged in construction work, construction
Yes.
is an area which generates lots of employment, construction of houses, construction of roads, construction of bridges, or construction of any building, So that construction has really declined and leading to unemployment and non-generation of any income. Say for instance, lots of Meiteis were working in the hills in road construction. Road construction under the different programs of the Government of India, NICIDCL or the PMGSY, that again because of this conflict, they are rather unemployed. If somebody is unemployed, there is no income. If there is no income, there is no demand. So economy is now really is going back. So people say that we are 20 years, 30 years going backwards.
Right.
So what the state government should do, especially for the people, not only for the displaced people, in general,
right.
They should prepare some scheme for skill development, for financial assistance. Many people have taken loans from the bank, but they are unable to repay the loan. During the COVID also, there was problem. The lots of loans were rescheduled, and perhaps the government can also come up with some kind of interest subvention, say some interest which were not paid by the entrepreneurs to the bank, can be paid by the state government or central government. So there are lots of innovative schemes to help the people in distress. As you rightly mentioned, we are facing a humanitarian crisis. What are our requirements? The state government has to identify. Lots of buildings have been destroyed, burned down. So for reconstruction of those houses, also a plan should be prepared, and proper plan. So of course, it is not possible to return these people to their original places, but as and when the peace returns, as and when there is some kind of a negotiated settlement, people are willing to go back to their original place and reconstruct their houses. For that, we need assistance from the central government. So the state government has to be very proactive and innovative, so that this what you are calling humanitarian crisis, the problem should be addressed in the right way.
Right. Thank you so much for your views. This brings us to the end of this discussion. The 2025-26 Union Budget for Manipur offers both opportunities and challenges. While the budget includes important allocations for infrastructure development such as roads, bridges and railways, it largely overlooks critical areas like the rehabilitation of conflict-affected communities. Despite the significant focus on boosting connectivity in the Northeast through the Act East policy and support for regional economic integration, there remains a lack of dedicated funds for victims of ethnic violence and displacement. This exclusion is a concern for many, as the state's humanitarian needs remain pressing. While the budget's focus on infrastructure may help drive long-term economic growth, immediate support for the displaced population and peace-building initiatives in Manipur is still lacking. Before we leave, I'd like to thank our panelists once again for their valuable time and insights. And to our viewers, thank you for watching SKTV. Please leave your feedback or the topic that you'd like us to cover in the next English edition of the Manipur Files. We hope you'll join us again next Sunday for our next English edition of the Manipur Files. I'm Utpala Longjam, your host, signing off. Have a good night and a great week.